Today is peak week for me, so I'm working 6 days out of the week, bringing in all that money so I can go on more adventures for the rest of the summer. And while I'm doing that, I just wanted to make this video talking about the financial side of living in a car. So in my particular case, my finances are a little bit more expensive than probably most people that live in a car. And part of that is because I've been doing this for a couple of years now, which has allowed me to change vehicles a couple of times and get into something really quite reliable. And for me to do much of anything, I need that reliability. But so part of my budget is going to be a little bit more expensive because of that. And I also am storing some things that are causing my expenses to be a little bit higher. But we'll get into that later. So first off, I do a monthly budget, and I actually revise it basically twice a month every time my paycheck comes in, and I go through and pay all my bills, make sure everything is looking exactly how it should. No matter what you're doing in life, having a budget is really, really important, because otherwise you're likely to run out of money, or you just simply won't know exactly where your resources are going, and that can be really problematic unless your income is just way higher than your expenses. In this video, I'm only going to go over my basic cost of living expenses. I'm not going to really talk about debt repayment or my income, although if you would like to see a video on that, leave a comment down below, and I might go into that in some detail so you get a better idea of what I'm doing. So first off, I want to talk about the cost of my vehicle itself, and that is by far the largest expense on my books. So we'll get things started off here with the $705 a month payment that I'm making on my Subaru Crosstrek. So obviously that is a lot of money, but there's two things going on there. So first off, I am paying off all of my debt aggressively. So this loan is actually a little bit shorter than most standard car loans because I wanted to get this thing out of the way as quick as possible. The other thing is that includes things like a warranty. So as long as I don't personally damage the vehicle, anything that breaks is going to be covered already. And I also have, I believe it's 3 years of maintenance that is built into that payment. It ended up being a little bit less expensive for me to have the service contract like that, so I decided to go for it. And I don't really have to budget for maintenance for this car, so it's all covered in that $705 a month. When you see other car life and van life channels, they often don't include maintenance in their budget, and I think that is a mistake because especially when I had that schoolie, maintenance was almost always at the top of my budget. It was almost always the most expensive thing, so you really can't discount maintenance in your monthly budget. So currently my fuel budget is about $400 per month. Having said that, I almost never get anywhere close to my fuel budget. I would have to be taking a lot of trips to actually get anywhere near my fuel budget. But obviously the fuel budget really is dependent on how much I'm driving, and I can really choose that. So if I want to get that $400 a month down to almost zero, I could. I probably wouldn't want to do that, but it's a possibility if I was in a jam or something. And obviously it's also dependent on the price of fuel, which depends on the day. Who knows what it's going to be tomorrow. Right now it's actually down quite a bit in this area, so it's down I think about 50 cents a gallon from what it was a month or two ago, so that's pretty good news. This car doesn't use a lot of fuel. I've been averaging about 35 miles per gallon on the freeway. So the last expense with my car is insurance, and this car is apparently one of the safest cars on the road according to my insurance agent, and I'm paying about $130 a month in insurance on it. It's actually really good. I have a perfect driving record, and if it sounds high to you, it's probably because of where you live. I have the car registered in Seattle, and Seattle just has high car insurance rates because there's lots of accidents. But that's actually a really, really good rate for full coverage in this area. So I'm actually really happy that I bought the car I did because the insurance rates on it are really low. So my only other real major expense is my storage unit, and that is $315 a month. So that's a lot of money, but currently my bus is living in there, so I kind of have to have it. Even if the bus wasn't there, I probably can't find too many cheaper alternatives, at least in driving distance of work. Storage units in this area are really expensive, just like all the real estate is, so it's about the best I can do. And it's also a 12 by 40 unit, so it's huge, and I have things in there like my sailboat, a bunch of tools and stuff, and some of my dad's stuff is actually in there as well. In theory, he was supposed to be paying for some percentage of the storage unit, but he never has. I'm not complaining because I used his storage unit for a couple of years as well without paying him. So, but having a storage unit is actually kind of important. There's certain things you just don't want to be carrying on you all the time, and having a place to put those is really good. Aside from that, I always anticipate I'm going to spend like $100 or $200 a month on things like clothes or upgrades for the Crosstrek. Just little things that are expensive, but I don't really do those things very often. And the last thing is food, which is about $400 a month at the moment. It used to be closer to 300, but it's gone up over the last year quite a bit. I'm always having to reevaluate what I'm doing for food, but that's just for basic groceries. I don't really eat out hardly ever, like at most like once or twice a year. My food budget is really, really small, and also, not eating meat helps save me a lot of money there as well. I don't really plan on doing much to change my food budget unless I started growing my own food. I don't think there's really any way I could get it down any further. Altogether, I spend about $2,000 a month for my basic cost of living. I know it's not as low as some people. Some people can get closer to $1,000 a month, but it suits my lifestyle and my current needs. And also because of my location, I can make more money. So even though expenses are a little bit higher here, I'm benefiting from much higher wages that I have because I'm in a high cost of living area. Any extra money that I have after I finish paying off all my basic expenses goes either to rebuilding my emergency fund or straight to debt, and that's about it. I will occasionally save for something else, and I'll have a special fund set aside for a large purchase of some sort, but otherwise things just go straight towards debt, and that's it. I really don't want that debt hanging around me forever. Hopefully that gives you a better understanding of how much it costs to live in a car. By my estimates, I would be saving probably at least $1,000 a month compared to what I was doing living in an apartment. So for me, I think that's a completely decent size savings and makes it completely worth it. If you're interested in seeing what I'm using for a storage unit, just check out this link here. That will show you my video on the storage unit that I found.